Welcome to Quality Time with MoreSteam. I am your host, Dan Swartwout. Our last episode was titled Making Things Better for Everyone. On today's episode, we're going to continue that theme with our very special guest, Taylor Pack. Taylor is a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt and the Senior Manager of Process at the Make-A-Wish Foundation. At Make-A-Wish, Lean Six Sigma principles help streamline operations and maximize the impact of every resource and volunteer hour. Every process improvement translates to more efficient operations and the potential to reach more families. During my conversation with Taylor, we'll explore how continuous improvement methodologies are helping Make-A-Wish optimize their work and expand their reach, which truly makes things better for everyone. And now, my conversation with Taylor Pack. Today, we are lucky enough to be joined by Taylor Pack from Make-A-Wish. Taylor is the Senior Manager of Process at Make-A-Wish, where she heads up the continuous improvement, the Lean Six Sigma. She's a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt. Taylor, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Super excited about this.
We are so excited to have you here. Obviously, the Make-A-Wish Foundation is one of the most well-known charitable organizations in the world. But for those who don't know, could you give a brief overview of what the Make-A-Wish Foundation does?
Absolutely. So Make-A-Wish Foundation, we started about 45 years ago, and the main purpose is to grant wishes for children with critical illnesses. For a long time, it was life-threatening illnesses, so terminal kiddos, and several years back, that changed to critical. So we have a lot of kiddos that go on that end up actually working for Make-A-Wish and lead amazing long lives after that. But yeah, we grant wishes to kiddos that have critical illnesses. So that can be all sorts of things, cancer, congenital heart defects and illnesses and things like that. So yeah.
The first Make-A-Wish that was granted, it was a little boy who wanted to be a police officer, right?
Yes, and there's a video for it and you can search YouTube for it, and they actually make us watch that video of that first wish, and we have a saying that like if you don't cry from watching that video, you should not be working at Make-A-Wish because it's so heartfelt. And actually, Linda, the mom of the little boy, she is still an active member of Make-A-Wish. She does a lot of meet and greets. Anytime we have conferences, she's always there. And she's just, even though he's passed on, she still is such a huge fundamental part of the organization. And so we're so thankful that like she is still willing to like be involved and spread the message. And so, yeah.
So from that one wish in the early 80s to how many wishes have been granted now? How many thousands of wishes?
Oh gosh, I couldn't even tell you. I know so our fiscal year starts in September, and I know for FY26, which is getting ready to happen, our goal is 17,000 wishes. So that's a lot. And so we've got the national office, which is kind of like what I like to call the mothership. And then we have 57 other chapters around the country, including Guam. And so some of these chapters can have one employee, some chapters can have over 50 employees. And so, yeah, it's every chapter is just, they're getting their hands in, they're making wishes happen. And, we've seen wishes that, meeting celebrities, going to Disney World. That's a huge one for us, having backyard makeovers. Like the wishes are just, the possibilities are endless.
Before we talk about how you use continuous improvement at Make-A-Wish, how about a little bit about your background? I know you're originally from Tennessee. So what led you through your career path to Make-A-Wish? When did you pick up Lean Six Sigma? Is that something you started out wanting to do, or was it something that you learned along the way?
So it's funny. I always tell people that, and I love answering this question because people are like their jaws drop. So I actually started my career, believe it or not, working retail at Cracker Barrel in my 20s. And so I had no intention, like I never heard of Lean Six Sigma, didn't know what it was. It wasn't even a thought in the back of my head, and got tired of working at Cracker Barrel and ended up finding an amazing job opportunity at Bridgestone. And that's really where I first heard of Lean. And so I started really just working more administration. And then I started falling in love with the quality aspect. And then, got my yellow belt, ended up getting my green belt. COVID hit, got, the good stuff that came along with that, and was fortunate enough to find an amazing position working as a contractor for the United States Coast Guard. As a project manager. And so they were amazing and allowed me to go on to get my black belt and then my master black belt. And so it's really just picked up from there. So it was never even on the radar for me. It was, I kind of came in with like the project management, lens and mindset. And I still do a little bit of project management, but I really fell in love with lean and how, with that continuous improvement mindset, you can completely transform an entire organization. And as I moved to nonprofit, nonprofit is one of those sectors that lean is still a fairly new and foreign concept for most nonprofits. And I've just fallen in love at like how much change and more efficient we can be with our donor funds with it. So yeah, it was never on the radar for me. I never started my career in my 20s like, hey, I'm going to go in and, be a master black belt. I didn't even know what it was. And it just kind of fell into place for me. And I haven't looked back. I absolutely love it.
Taylor, when you made the leap to Make-A-Wish, when they presented this job to you at Make-A-Wish, what were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, so I'd actually been the job prior to Make-A-Wish, I was actually in a nonprofit organization. And so, the economy started taking a turn for the worst, and my position ended up getting dissolved. And so when I saw Make-A-Wish, I was like, okay, this is like my dream job. There's no way that they're going to pick, little old Taylor from Southern rural East Tennessee. But the job description, it was like process improvement. It had, preferred Lean Six Sigma green belt. They wanted somebody with, a little bit of training experience. And so I'm like, hey, I've got all of this and a little bit more. And yeah, it like I'm very fortunate that the individual that I report to, he's got his black belt. And so like I'm surrounded by a whole bunch of amazing people with amazing talents and skill sets with some lean background. But it was never presented to me in the way that we've kind of transformed it to the way that it is today. It was just, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to, use some of my Lean Six Sigma skills. I'm going to use probably some of my project management skills,
Uh-huh.
and we're just going to go with it. And it's just completely transformed.
How does Make-A-Wish approach continuous improvement to enhance its mission of granting wishes? I'm fascinated by this. And obviously, because it's such a wonderful organization that you work for, I'm really interested in how these principles are used there.
So Make-A-Wish, we don't use any sort of federal funding or grants or anything like that. So every single penny that we have comes directly from donors. And so we really have to make the most out of our donor funds. So anytime we can make a process more efficient, we're going to do it. So whether that's improving the process of even just speeding up the email process to referral programs, like that can speed up a wish in itself, or improving the process of even just working in Salesforce. So even like the little like things behind the scenes, the faster, the more efficient we can be, the more efficient we can be with our resources, the more our donor funds are able to spread. And
Uh-huh.
so that's really what we try to do. And so the average cost of a wish is $6,600. That's one single wish. Now, some wishes
Wow.
could be more money than that. So, it just kind of depends on how much funds we're getting each year from our donors, and the economy can play a big impact on that. And so we really have to kind of be two steps ahead of the game. And so we're constantly looking for areas that we can improve. And one of the ways that we're doing that is by training those around us, by having those continuous improvement skill sets. So we are constantly training our employees with white belt, with yellow belt. We're getting ready to roll out our green belt. And so that way, myself and my small team of 3, we can focus on those larger scale projects. And then the other areas that do have those yellow and green belt skills, they can be working on smaller improvements. And so it's just become a lived mindset across the organization, and it's continuing to grow with us. People are excited about it. People are seeing like the amazing accomplishments and the ROIs that we've done over the past year. And they're like, oh my gosh, I want more of this. Train me up. I want to get my green belt. We've got an individual that started off taking our white belt class. He's already signed up to do our green belt class, and he's like,
Wow.
I'm going to go all the way to get my master black belt. I see the benefit of this. And so we're not just transforming like the organization, we're inspiring people around us as well. And it's really just, it started with, me coming in, and they had done a really good job prior to me coming in with what they had. And so when I came in, we kind of tweaked the department a little bit. We made some, improvements, and we're constantly improving as a team. And we've just expanded and blown it out of the ballpark more than I think any of us really ever thought it was going to be.
That is so cool. Now, Taylor, can you walk us through a specific Lean Six Sigma project you've led at Make-A-Wish that improved the wish fulfillment process? And what challenges did you face in implementing that program, that project?
So every project is going to make the wish fulfillment process more efficient. And
Uh-huh.
so it doesn't matter if I'm working on a project that has no hands-on with a chapter or something like that. So you have to understand that even things like projects with Salesforce or with our human resources department, like every single thing that we can do to make more efficient, that is helping speed up the wish fulfillment process. But one project in particular that I'm particularly proud of was with our Salesforce permissions project. And that project alone, we actually made that department more efficient by 30%. And that
Wow.
department has got about 150 people. And so you think about that. When you put that into dollar amount, it's crazy. It is absolutely outstanding. So that was a huge one for us. Even things like data security. We're working on a project right now with our accounts payable project, and there are some things that are not like tightened up the way that they should be. And so I came in, and by the time we were finished, our data security was improved by over 60%. And so you look at those numbers. So, like, we're not just, improving the wish fulfillment process, but we're making sure things are secure because we do have medical history that's sitting with us, and we don't want that information to get out. And so, and we don't want a lot of our secrets to be getting out to people. And,
Right.
you look at 60%, you look at 30%, you look at the fact that some of our projects have, like improved, email correspondence with our medical affairs team by 45%. So every time a wish kiddo wants a wish, they have to go through our medical affairs department to make sure that they're physically healthy enough to do that wish. So we've sped
Mhm.
that process up by 40%. And so these wishes are happening. Yeah. Yeah.
40%. Now, if those of you listening, you didn't see Taylor just really reacted to the look on my face when she said 40%. So those of you who are just listening to this, you probably are wondering what just happened, but 40%, that's something.
It is. It is. And so our national offices, we're small. I mean, there's only 250 of us. Now, chapters included, there's probably about 3,000, but our national office, we're small. We are a very, very small office. A lot of us have to wear multiple hats. Even though I'm a master black belt, I still find myself getting hands deep with, project management. But we
Mhm.
touch our process improvement department. We touch every single department in one way or another. And I don't think that there's a single department we haven't had some sort of process improvement project in. And so that's why it's so important for us to continue to train those around us because there's only three of us. We can only be in
Uh-huh.
one place at a time. And, the more people that we can train and upskill, like the more these numbers are going to continue to grow. And so I can't give you like specific dollar amounts, but you can kind of think like 40%, 60%, improving, data security and things like that. All of those things, those impact the wish fulfillment process in one way or another.
How does the wish fulfillment process work?
So it can be different for a lot of things, but really the main fulfillment process comes from, let's just say little Susie has some sort of critical illness and she's in the hospital and her doctor will send a referral to Make a Wish to a chapter. So let's say she lives in East Tennessee
Okay.
and her doctor at East Tennessee Children's Hospital was like, little Susie has a critical illness. Is she qualified for a wish? So East Tennessee will take a look. They'll chat with her doctors. They'll be like, yes, she is qualified for a wish. So they'll chat with little Susie. They'll figure out what is her wish. And she wants to go to Disney World in Orlando. So she will then, the East Tennessee chapter will then have to talk to the Florida chapter because it crosses state lines.
Hmm.
And East Tennessee chapter will have to talk to our medical affairs team to make sure that little Susie is physically healthy enough to get on an airplane and travel. And so they'll make it happen. They'll have a big wish granting party for her. They'll do some sort of something like, have Mickey Mouse show up for her at the hospital and say, "Your wish has been granted. You get to go to Disney World." And there's so many moving pieces. We have airport greeters. So when she goes to the Knoxville airport, she will have a whole gaggle of volunteers with pom poms and make a wish shirts on, cheering her off. And when she lands in Florida, she'll have that same thing. And so there's so many moving pieces and so many parts to it. We rely so much on our volunteers for a lot of those things too. And it can take, depending on the wish, depending on how ill the child is, some wishes can just take a few weeks to grant. Other wishes can take several months. It just depends on logistics, but there's just so many moving pieces. But most of it really starts with their medical care team sending that referral in to whatever chapter is in their surrounding area. And then we just take it on and run with it. And like I said, it just depends. If they want to meet a celebrity, we then have to get our celebrity engagement team involved. If they want to go somewhere else, we have to get other chapters involved. If they want to have a backyard makeover, we then have to find builders that are willing to put in the time and support. So, but it all starts with those referrals. And a lot of it too is community outreach. We have a lot of community outreach. So, where I live now, there's a huge indigenous population and they're an underserved community. And so we've got people that are like specifically going out to those communities saying, "Hey, your child, you're going through these horrible things. Let us come in and help you get a referral to Make a Wish so that your child for just a few days can be a kid, can just be a
Hmm.
kid and enjoy themselves." So, yeah, every wish is different how it starts, but it really does just start with the medical team of that child submitting those referrals.
In the hypothetical situation you just described, lots of handoffs
Mhm.
between chapters, between medical teams and chapters, lots of handoffs. Is that something you've looked at through process improvement? Because a lot of times things get slowed down in those handoffs. Is that something you've looked at?
It is, and there's some things that we just simply can't fix because it's just of compliance rules and regulations. But yes, I mean, we have like, especially with volunteers, we really made that process more efficient because the fewer hands, the better, less likely for error. But some things we just simply can't touch. Other things, yeah, I mean, even just email communication in itself, things can get lost in the shuffle, things can get missed. And so we've made a lot of those processes more efficient. And a lot of chapters have also taken our Lean Six Sigma trainings, and so like they will take what they've learned from us, and they will do their own process improvement projects. So they other chapters have probably done things that we just simply don't know about because they're off doing their own thing.
Hmm.
But for like the national office, there's been a few minor things, but for the most part, chapters are really handling those process improvements themselves. But they have the tools and the skill sets to do it because they've gone through our training and we've allowed them to have it. And there have been times where, let's just say Guam, for instance, because
Okay.
there's only one person there, they want to do a process improvement project. They've gone through our training, but they have questions. Like we are always there for support, for mentoring, for coaching, for consulting. And so even if a chapter has gone through our training and they're taking on a project, we encourage that, but we also say, "Hey, we're here for support. If you have questions, if you're not really sure what to do after process mapping, or you've gone through your five whys and you're not really sure what comes next, talk to us." So we're not just going to throw them to the wolves. But yes, I mean, for the most part, the national office doesn't typically touch what the chapters do because they're their own entity and they
Hmm.
like things done certain ways. But that's the exact reason why so many chapters have gone through our trainings because they see the things that they want to improve. And we're just giving them the tools and the skill sets to really empower them to make those changes that they see would really make a massive difference with fewer hands, fewer handoffs, things like that.
I want to talk a little bit about data.
Mhm.
Obviously, Lean Six Sigma data, it's a huge thing. So, what role has data analysis played in your efforts to streamline the wish granting process at Make a Wish?
So when I first joined about 2 years ago, like I said, our process improvement team, they were doing the absolute best with what they had and what they knew. And
Hmm.
there really wasn't ROI wasn't being measured. There really like the measurement aspect of DMAIC, it wasn't being captured in its full potential. And so that's something that we really had to basically start over from scratch with and learn. And for me to teach them, like my team, of the power of data and what you can
Hmm.
do with it and really look at what that ROI is in the long run. And so for us this past year, like those percentages that I gave you earlier, none of those things were being tracked a couple of years ago.
Mm.
So like, I know, but nobody else can see it, but I saw your jaw drop when I saw a couple of those, when I saw a couple of those numbers. And I really wish that we had done a better job from the beginning, and it's nobody's fault. I wish we would have done a better job at the beginning of really tracking ROI and really understanding the power of data because I would be just mesmerized at the overall impact that this small team has made over the past several years, but we're just now really getting into that nitty-gritty. And yeah, I mean, we're even doing things like, we do a lot of time studies. Like that
Hmm.
is a big one because like there are certain processes that just even like newsletters that get out to the national and chapters, like that process alone is taking that one individual 8 hours every single week, which is outrageous. Well, we would not have known that had we not done those time studies. And so
Hmm.
we're on a project right now with that individual, and we've done the time studies. We figured out how many hands are on this. We've figured out, how long it's taking an individual to submit, articles for it, and we're improving that. And so I think knowledge is powerful, data is even more powerful, numbers don't lie. And so for us, by us capturing that ROI, we're able to make that impact on projects and see like future state and then or current state, and then we're able to look at the updated future state. But it also allows our senior leadership to see the impact that we're making too. And that just wasn't being captured before. So I mean, it's been a learning process. We're constantly going through lessons learned ourselves as a team. We're constantly taking a step back and saying, okay, we are limited on our resources because, we're non for profit and we can only do the best with what we have. We have these tools now that we're starting to get and we're starting to really like grab data and understand it. And I'm helping, my team to understand the power of it. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that, even in FY26, like that, those percentages, those are growing even more. And we have even more success stories and we have, the data and the numbers to back it. But it's still an area that for me as the senior manager, like I'm proud of what we've done over the past 2 years, but I can see and envision us doing so much more now that we are all really understanding what data can do.
You've talked about time, studies, you talked about percentages saved. What are some other key metrics that you measure at Make a Wish?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at duplicates. And we're looking at how many. So, like, anytime that there's a chapter that's merged, one chapter is merging with another chapter, or a chapter is realigning, or a chapter is just being completely dissolved altogether. We're looking at, okay, how many people are being brought into this? Are people being
Mhm.
brought in at the right time? So, communication is a huge part of what we do. Are people being brought in when they need to be brought in? Because, like I said, knowledge is power. And a lot of times people find out things are happening way after they should have found out things are happening. They're being brought into the conversation, they're being brought into the project. That's a big one for us. Resourcing for us is a huge one. You know, we've got a couple of people within the entire organization, they're working 70 or 80 hours a week. That's just outrageous. So, what can we do to help resourcing with their time? What can we get off their plate? What can we give to somebody else? Is there things that we can just ultimately get rid of altogether that we don't necessarily need right this, second? And
Mhm.
so communication, resourcing, funding, compliance, safety, even just the emotional well-being of the organization itself, we're looking at how can we improve that because a lot of us are drained, we're overwhelmed, we're exhausted. We're all here for the same reason. We all are behind the mission, but you don't want 250 people that are just completely zombies. Um,
Mhm.
and drain. And so even that in itself is something that we're measuring. We do a lot of surveys. We do a lot of anonymous surveys. We do a lot of like open floor discussions of like what people are needing and is there a way that process can have a hand in it? What can we do to help improve, the emotional well-being of the organization? What can we do to help better communicate, things that are happening across the organization? What are we doing that can help, Bob from working 80 hours a week and get it back down to 40 to 45? And so that's a lot of it too. So, I mean, there's so many different areas that we touch. We've got so many departments that, like, we've got a department that specifically all they do are Disney cruises. And so,
Mm.
like, what can we do to help the cruise process, like the booking process, get quicker? But a lot of it is just efficiency in numbers, efficiency in time, efficiency in resourcing, efficiency, you know, making sure that we don't have to have 50 hands touch something when really all we need is three. So a lot of it is error proofing. And a lot of it too is just documentation. A lot of these departments don't have their everyday processes documented. And a lot of these processes are up in people's heads. So if somebody leaves the organization and they have it documented, we're all really going to be scrambling. So, I mean, that in itself is a big one. And that's a big part of too of us training up yellow belts is so that they have the tools and the powers to be able to document those processes because there are processes for literally everything and very few have been documented. And so that's a big push that we're doing right now is just documentation and it's every black belt's nightmare because it's like I could be doing something else, I could be doing something else that's much bigger that could be saving so much more money and time but if somebody leaves and they leave with that process up in their head, then we're really gonna be, up the creek without a paddle.
It's amazing listening to you. You sound like you could be managing a manufacturing plant with the way you talk. So we talk about a lot on the show that these principles work in so many areas. And I think there are a lot of people listening to this right now saying, she's talking about Make-A-Wish just like I talk about the manufacturing line.
Mhm. It's
Wow.
there's a lot of similarities, and two, it's like, I think too, that's why I'm so passionate about helping other nonprofits and informing other nonprofits, like, you've got a tool, you've got a methodology that you could bring in and you could save thousands, you could save millions. It's not just a manufacturing tool. Motorola, Toyota, we all know that story, but it's not just manufacturing. You're seeing it in healthcare now, you're seeing it in
Hmm.
government now, and now it's trickling into nonprofit, and I'm hoping, I'm wanting, I'm really pushing for more nonprofits to just take the bull by the horns and run with it because it is such a powerful tool. And there are things from manufacturing that we're probably never going to use for a nonprofit, but there's still so much from it that we are using. And
Hmm.
so I think that that's the cool thing about it is it doesn't have to be a manual. You don't have to, okay, well, I have to do this, 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 and this, and this. And if I don't do this, well, then the whole project is ruined. So it doesn't have to be completely by the book. And that's what I love about it. And so, like I said, there may be things that I used at Bridgestone that I'm not using at Make-A-Wish, but there's still so many things that I am. And it's
Right.
such a powerful tool and methodology and I geek out about it. It makes me it makes me that excited, like, I have had dreams of process improvement projects, and I'm like, "I can't get away from it, even if it's I cannot get I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, "You need to trust the process." It was not even work related, and my comment
Hmm.
was, without even batting an eye, "The only processes I trust are the ones I fix," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I could put that on a coffee mug." What?
Thanks, Taylor. You know what I'd like to put on a coffee mug? I bet you can guess. It's this short break. MoreSteam's enterprise process improvement platform includes the tools, training, and software you need to transform your organization into a problem-solving powerhouse. Join the ranks of Fortune 500 companies that trust MoreSteam for their enterprise process improvement. Visit moresteam.com to learn more. And now back to my conversation with Taylor Pack. Obviously, when you're talking about implementing continuous improvement principles,
Mhm.
buy-in is always an issue. So what strategies have you used to gain buy-in from stakeholders like staff, volunteers, medical partners, what have you? What buy-in strategies have you used when implementing new processes at Make-A-Wish?
I will say it till I'm blue in the face. Knowledge is power, knowledge is power, knowledge is power. And so we are so fortunate that our CEO, Leslie Motter, she's absolutely incredible. She comes from a Lean Six Sigma background. And so we
Okay.
have that amazing support. My manager is a black belt. We've got a lot of people that have that Lean Six Sigma background, which really helps a lot. But one of the biggest things that we've done over the past 2 years is train our staff, train our leadership. So we've taken our staff last year through a white belt for leadership class. So we created a slide deck that, we had like 50, senior leadership. They were in a meeting with us and we talked to them about white belt. And it just gave them the basic understanding, knowledge, and concepts of Lean Six Sigma and how Lean Six Sigma project works. And then we also celebrate the successes of our projects. So they come with that basic understanding and that basic knowledge. They see the success stories. And so that buy in becomes much, much easier. But a big aspect of what we do is also change management. So, myself and a couple of other of us, we're change manager practitioners. And so, like, that's in our yellow belt. We also, we go through ADCAR and we talk about the importance of people being able to adopt and, sustain those changes. And so it's just a lot of upskilling and knowledge and making sure that the entire organization is speaking the same language. And because of that, getting the support from stakeholders, it becomes much, much, much easier for us. And so we are just so fortunate that our leaders have been very receptive to it. And they have really just been like, they love it. We've had a lot of people say, "Hey, when are you rolling out Greenbelt?" And it's like they're begging for it. And it's just,
Mhm.
by sharing those success stories, by going through trainings, by, every new employee that comes through Make-A-Wish as of January, they have to watch a 30-minute video on white belt. So the moment somebody steps foot in the door, we're drilling Lean Six Sigma into their heads. And it's because we've done that we have so much support and we have so many people excited about it. And stakeholders are begging for us to come. I mean, there's only 3 of us and we're spread so thin right now. And it's like, I feel like we can't be in enough places at one time. Um, but I'm thankful for that because that means we do have the support of so many people around, not just the national office, but, the chapters.
Right.
And it's just because of that. It's because of the training. It's because we're sharing what we're doing. And I don't think that we've had yet a stakeholder that's come and said, I'm not really sure about this. They're sure about it because they've seen the impact that we've done and they see the success stories, they see the changes and how much faster certain processes have become and how much money we've saved. And so they're excited. Like we really haven't had any, knock on wood, we really haven't had any that have been like, nah, no thanks.
Taylor and I talked earlier this week in the lead up to this interview. And Taylor, if you were not going to mention the white belt video, I was going to mention the white belt video because I thought that was really, really cool. Although I have to say, you did say that everyone who's new, they have to watch the video. I would say they get to watch the video.
They do. And that was a huge win for us.
Uh huh.
And so last year, like I mentioned, we had our leaders do a white belt for leadership program. And human resources happened to be sitting in on that call. And I'm actually working with one of the human resources directors on a project right now, ironically. She earned her green belt several years ago. And we just kind of started brainstorming with each other. And she handles the onboarding of new employees. And she's like, you just rolled out the White Belt for Leadership program last October. What can we do for new employees? And that's really where that inspiration came from. So my 2 colleagues, like they got their hands in it and they created this really fun 30-minute video that just talks about how we at Make-A-Wish use it. So it's very, very specific to Make-A-Wish.
Mhm.
It's got those basic, key terms and concepts and the importance of it. And it's been great. Like we just, we've had several new employees that have started since January. Chapters have access to it as well. And so it just helps embed that common shared knowledge and language of it. And, we are like next week, we're getting ready to kick off our final yellow belt training for this fiscal year. This past year alone, we've trained 235 employees, national and chapter wide, in yellow belt.
Wow.
And that number is probably going to be about 250 by the time we wrap up next week. And you think about it, we've got 2,000 plus employees, and 250 of those alone in 2025 were trained in yellow belt.
Wow. Wow. That is really creating a culture.
Let that sink in for a minute. And we continue to build up that culture by having a shared teams channel. So everybody that goes through our training, they get to go on there. We host lunch and learns. We're sharing podcasts. Like I've shared a couple of from you guys before. And, we encourage those people to share successes and wins and things like that as they've completed their own process improvement projects. And it just gets people excited. It gets people having that shared knowledge. It gets people thinking outside of the box. And by starting with white belt, we're
Mhm.
creating that lasting, success. And it's that, just like I said, it's that shared language. And because of that, we've really just transformed this organization into a lean organization. And now I've got people saying, "Hey, you're rolling out green belt. When are you going to roll out black belt?" We're going to wait a little bit on that one. Let's get through green belt first. But I mean, people are loving it.
That's awesome. I want to talk a little bit about, aside from Lean Six Sigma, continuous improvement, and we'll get back to that, more of the mission of Make a Wish. And I was reading about it and studying it, the impact that these wishes have on the children. Can you speak to that just a little bit?
And this is where I start crying. I'd like to think of myself as somebody with a really strong backbone, but then you start talking about wish kiddos and wish stories, and every single one of us are going to blubber like a baby. It's powerful. It is
Mhm.
absolutely powerful. You've got these kids that are just spending their lives in hospitals, that have trach tubes that have been hooked up, that have gone through heart transplants, that are going through chemotherapy, that, just things that no one should ever have to go through, let alone a child.
Mhm.
And for whatever that wish is, whether it's to meet John Cena, to go to WWE, to go to Disney World, to meet, their favorite football player, to have a backyard transformation, for that short period of time that that wish is taking place, they're forgetting they're sick. They
Mhm.
get to be a kid,
Mhm.
and they get to be like everybody else around them. And it is just like, it is so powerful, and that's why all of us, even when we're working those long hours and we see a wish story, like I just mentioned, the ESPN My Wish story that just took place, like, they had 4 incredible wishes. I watched them every morning. I'm like, "Why am I crying at 6 o'clock in the morning?" Because it's just so powerful. Like, one kiddo, his wish was to meet his favorite quarterback from the Texans, and
CJ Stroud?
yep.
All right. We are indeed in Columbus, Ohio. I am an Ohio State alumnus. So absolutely, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and he asked the wish kiddo, "What made you become a Texans fan?" And he said, "I'm doing treatment, and my hospital room overlooks your stadium. And so I'm watching you guys every day from my hospital room, and I fell in
Wow.
love with it because of that." And it's like things like that. It hits you. And it's like, it's almost like these people, like these kids are just, they go through so much. They go through so much. They go through things that nobody should ever have to go through. And just to see the smile on their face, just to see them laughing, just to see them hugging their favorite celebrity or their favorite quarterback, there's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like it. And I almost think that we get more out of it than they do. I don't even know if that's possible, but every kid deserves to be a kid, and we're allowing that and we're making that happen, even if it's just for a short period of time. And there are days where I want to pull my hair out. And there are days where I'm starting at 6 a.m. and I end at, 8 p.m. And then I see a wish story, or I
Mhm.
see somebody come up to me in the grocery store because I have a Make a Wish shirt on, and they give me a hug. And it's like, that's exactly why I do what I do, so that more kiddos have the opportunity to be a kid and to smile and forget that they're going through, whatever critical illness that they're going through. I mean, it's just so powerful for everybody. It's not just the wish kid alone. Like, that's who we're here for. But Make a Wish touches every single person who's involved, whether it's a volunteer, it's a donor, it's us from the national office, it's, the medical team that's working with these kids. it touches everybody. And it's just a wish is such a powerful tool. And, we've had a couple of kiddos that have gone on who have, overcome their illness and are now working at Make-A-Wish because they see the impact of it. They're like, I want to be able to do the same thing that was given to me. And it's just, yeah, it's like I said, I'm not normally a crier, but you start talking about the wish side of it and it tugs at me. It tugs at everybody.
And also, I was reading about the doctors saying that there are actual medical benefits from fulfilling these wishes, from granting these wishes, that they see more positive outcomes and treatments, right?
Yeah, I don't know the actual numbers on it. I don't know, like, that's way over my head, but they have done multiple studies where, like, they've had better, like, they're responding better to treatment after a wish, and just and I think a lot of it comes from the hope and the joy that come out of a wish. So a kid goes to Disney World, they come back, they're rejuvenated, they're alive, they're excited. And we've heard it from so many doctors, so many doctors that after they've come back, they've started responding even better to treatment. And I think a lot of it is that positive outlook, that joy that they've had. And it's it's life changing in the sense that these kids get to be a kid, but it's also life changing that it's actually, in my mind, it's making miracles happen, you know?
So, as we talk about the impact of what Make a Wish does to achieve the efficiencies that you're achieving through continuous improvement, to grant more wishes, that's a really powerful thing.
It is, and I don't take it for granted like at all. I'm so dang lucky to do what I do, and I'm so fortunate that I'm working for an organization that embraces that continuous mindset, and I'm so lucky that even though I may not get to work with Wish kiddos every single day, I know that the job I'm doing is impacting them, and I wear my Make-A-Wish swag with pride, and I wear my Make-A-Wish star with pride, and I'm always so excited to tell people what I do because I'm proud of what I do. I'm proud of the work that my team has done because we're making an impact. We are making a legitimate impact. Even though we are so much more behind the scenes, we're still making an impact because we're making this organization more efficient with resources and money and everything. And it's making an impact. And I absolutely love it. I am literally working my dream job at my dream organization.
Mm.
And not a
Well,
lot of people get to say that. Not a lot of people get to say that. I'm in my 30s and I am exactly where I want to be. I am exactly where I want to be, and I do not take that for granted.
wow. As we look to the future, as you are in your dream role, your dream job, looking to the future as you continue in your dream job, how do you envision Lean Six Sigma and continuous improvement evolving in your work at Make a Wish over the next several years?
I really see our team growing. There's just three of us. It's myself and then my two colleagues who both recently got their black belts. So I'm a master black belt and they've got their black belts. So we're a tiny but mighty team, but we're spread thin. I would love to see our team grow to more process improvement members, so that way we can touch more chapters, we can touch more departments. That to me is the biggest part I would love to see grow, but it's also continuing to upskill people. It's
Hmm.
continuing to train yellow belts and green belts and eventually black belts so that people have that skill set to be able to make everyday process improvements within their own departments. And the more of us that are trained, the more of us that have that knowledge and that understanding, the bigger impact we can make. And that's where I really see this growing. Like, it may mean us having fewer yellow belt like training classes a year because the entire organization is a yellow belt. So now we're
Hmm.
going to be focusing on green belt. And now everybody's got a green belt. So now we're going to focus on black. But so it's like the knowledge is power. And so I would love to see my department grow. Um, and by us becoming more efficient, we will have the ability to grow so that it's not going to put a financial strain on us. That's going to be down the road. But that's really my vision. I would love to see the process team grow into more people so we can touch more people. And I would love to see more national and staff employees trained. So that way that when we can't be we can't be in their chapter working on a project and we can't be in their department working on a project. they still have the ability and the knowledge to do that project on their own. While we're still supporting from the back end as coaching and mentoring, they still have that knowledge and the ability to do it. So it's continuing to inspire our office to learn and to grow. It's continuing to upskill them. It's continuing to upskill ourselves. We're always looking at ways that we can improve. Um, and yeah, the more people we have trained, the more projects we can accomplish, the more black belts and master black belts we have, the more bigger wide scale projects we can do and the more efficient we are. So like I would love to be the world's most efficient nonprofit organization. And I don't know what that looks like, but it's yeah, I see so much potential and possibility. Um, and we've got the knowledge and we've got the skills and we've got the right people on the job to make it happen. And I'm fortunate that I am surrounded by so many people that are very like Lean Six Sigma oriented. And because they've seen like my manager has come from a Department of Defense organization where it was embedded in everything that they had to do. And so I'm fortunate because of that, where I'm not having to like, okay, can we please do this? Like, here's the benefit. He's like, do it, take it and run with it. And that in itself is going to continue to allow us to grow within a department and thus continue to grow as an enterprise.
Taylor Pack from Make-A-Wish, this has been an incredible conversation. I know so many people will take so much from this conversation. And I think it's wonderful that these principles are out there making such a difference, because you talk about change. Well, you're out there changing the world and using these principles to do that. That's pretty cool change management to me.
Using Lean Six Sigma to grant more wishes. I mean, my goodness, it's like I said, I'm over here living my best life. And it's like, I can't complain. I can't complain, but I mean, we really are. We are using Lean Six Sigma to grant more wishes, and I am dorky excited about it. And I hope I am always dorky excited about it, because the moment I'm not, it tells me I'm in the wrong place, and I don't ever see myself being in the wrong place with Make-A-Wish. So I'm very fortunate. I love it. I see the power and the impact. Just who knew that, when Motorola first rolled out its first black belts, Six Sigmas, that it was going to transform an organization like Make-A-Wish, but here we are.
Here we are indeed. Anything that we have not touched upon that you'd like to talk about?
No, I'm hoping that more nonprofit organizations see what we're doing and they realize the impact that it can have on theirs. And it's just such a powerful tool. And the more people that understand the methodology and the concepts behind it, the more amazing things that these different organizations can do. And that's really, for me, what this is all about, is being able to help other people see that Lean Six Sigma, it's not just manufacturing, it's not just healthcare, it's not just government, it's also in nonprofit. And I would love more nonprofits to really just take it and run with it, because for us, it's been totally transformative.
Any cool stuff coming to your LinkedIn profile? You've posted some cool stuff there in the past.
I've been given an amazing opportunity coming up. So I currently reside in Idaho. I get to accept a fun, super large check coming up next week. The Idaho Falls firefighters and police force are coming together for a really cool fundraising event. And so I get to do that. We also have our amazing global conference coming up in November to celebrate 45 incredible years of being Make-A-Wish. So you might see some stuff from that, but I'm always trying to find ways to plug in what I'm currently doing with some Lean Six Sigma like concepts and messages and things like that thrown in there, so people are learning without actually realizing they're learning. So I'm sure I will come up with something, especially after we wrap up our conversation. Copilot's been really cool to create some fun images with what I've been doing. So yeah, no, there's always something going on. I'm always sharing wishes that are happening. I'm always sharing events that we're doing. We had our big national conference back in May, and we got to meet Mickey Mouse, which was just,
Nice.
Mickey Mouse, like total celebrity, geeked out over that one. So he's over there on my LinkedIn as well. So yeah, it's like I said, knowledge is power. And so even by sharing messages on LinkedIn. That's another way that I'm really trying to outreach what we're doing and share the impact of what we're doing.
I don't know how many people would call LinkedIn fun, but I think your LinkedIn profile is fun as I had the chance to look at it.
I love it. I'm glad you did. I try to make it fun. And I think too, that's part of Lean Six Sigma. When you make it boring, no one's going to want to do it. No one's going to
Mhm.
want to learn about it. And the more fun and exciting, and that's what we do with our training classes as well. It's very interactive. We joke a lot. We laugh a lot. Um, and the more fun you make it, the less like, just boredom it is. Because I've sat through some pretty boring training classes in the past, and it's like watching paint dry. And so for us, that's we try to make it exciting. And if I can make it even more exciting on my LinkedIn and people can get some laughs while learning something from it, well, then I've done a good job.
Excellent. Taylor Pack, thank you so much for joining the show. This has been a phenomenal, phenomenal conversation. If I've used phenomenal twice, you know that's big time. So thank you so much, Taylor. I really have enjoyed having you on the show. And I'd love to have you on the show again sometime in the future as we see the continued impact that you are making at that phenomenal organization.
Anytime, anytime. Thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful.
Thank you. And thank you for listening to Quality Time with MoreSteam. You can email the show at qualitytime@moresteam.com. And if you enjoyed the show, please leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast service. Also, please go ahead and visit our website, moresteam.com, to learn about the software and tools that can help you solve problems, eliminate waste, and do things better. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more Quality Time with MoreSteam. Thanks again.